Hello and welcome to the next video in our series of videos all about getting your child ready to write. And you'll notice the title of this video has changed. It's very exciting because this one is Ready to Write. So we've looked at our gross motor skills, we've looked at our fine motor skills, and they carry on developing alongside our writing skills. So this is when your child is ready to pick up a writing implement, make marks, and we'll show you in more detail what that means, moving all the way through to creating patterns, moving all the way through to creating recognisable letters, even writing sentences. So it's a very exciting video to make, and I'm really hoping it will help you at home to see where your child is at, and also some ideas on how you can help them progress at home with their writing. So, what do we want our children to achieve here at Hoole? Now, what I would say is we really recognise that every child is unique and their developmental journey is going to be different. But something we strive for all the children to achieve here at Hoole is the early learning goal for writing and moving and handling. And I'll give you an example of the statements of these here. So we're going to start by looking at the stages of emergent writing. Now this will be really interesting for you because I'm sure you'll be able to spot some of the things your child might have been doing a while ago. I know my little 2-year-old has just started assigning meaning to marks that she's making, so she's telling me what she's drawing. Really exciting developmental stage, and you'll be able to spot where your child is at now as we go through these stages.
So here we have our first stage of emergent writing, moving on to our second stage. Now the only difference between the two stages is they could say what they'd drawn in the second picture. On to the third stage of emergent writing, that's when we're drawing from left to right. After that we start seeing letter shapes appearing in sort of a non-conventional pattern. Again, more letter shapes, sometimes going across the page, following on to letter strings, big long lines of letters.
When your child starts here in reception at Hoole Primary, your child is encouraged to copy pre-writing patterns. Now that can be with writing implements, but it can also be with our finger and sand, because what we say is movement triggers memory. Now it's really important that the children can form these pre-writing patterns before they're able to form recognisable letters. So I'll show you what these pre-writing patterns look like, and I'm sure many of you will be familiar with them.
So here we have some of the pre-writing patterns, zigzag patterns, wavy patterns, being able to do that crisscross pattern with a diagonal movement, looping patterns as well, onto more angular patterns like the top of a castle's turrets. The children love to draw this one. A spiral like on a snail's shell. Takes a lot of control and we do it nice and slowly. Onto the waves of the sea. Brilliant patterns for the children to practice.
So even though we say they are pre-writing patterns, I love to do my handwriting in the classroom where we're looking at letter formation. I quite often will start with pre-writing patterns to warm up our fingers and our hands and get our pen going the right way on its journey. So the next thing we're going to look at is the grip your child uses of their writing implement. And I get asked a lot of questions about this and how to support the children in progressing through these stages of development. So I'll show you how it works. The children in reception use various grips when they come to join us. So they might use a palmar supinate grip, which is like this, so the pointy end underneath their hand. They might use a palmar grip, which is like this. They might use a digital pronate grip, where they push one finger down to control the end of the pencil. They might use a modified tripod grip, which is where they use more fingers to control the end of their pencil. And finally, it's your tripod grip with your 3 fingers and the other fingers curled away to control the end of your pencil. Now this is what we're aiming for at the end of reception. Now it's really important when we're looking at grip of your writing implements for your child that we don't encourage your child, if they are holding a pencil like this with a palmar grip, we don't then say this is how you need to hold your pencil properly into a tripod grip. They go through all of these stages when they're ready. Now this is something that you can help them with, and I'm going to show you how now. So the first thing you can do to help your child to develop that tripod grip is work through your gross and fine motor skill development. Now you'll notice in the gross motor video we have referred to the stages of the different pivots in our shoulder and our elbow and what they will look like, how your child will move, but also how they will also grip their pencil. So for example, if you've got a palmar grip, quite often you need to work on your shoulder and elbow pivots and more. So working on those gross motor skills and also the fine motor skills will then result in that tripod grip. So another question I get asked a lot is about hand dominance. So a child, when they start reception, they might draw with their right hand, they might cut out with their left, sometimes they might write with their left hand. Now that's absolutely fine. Again, it's a developmental stage. So the children really, once you're giving them writing implements and you're giving them scissors to use, let them choose which hand they're going to use, and throughout the year it will become more and more apparent with which hand they're going to settle with, where they've got that dominant strength. We work equally with our fine motor skills and our gross motor skills on both sides of our body, and that's so important to say when we're using our knife and fork, even when we're doing up our coat, when we're doing our writing. Again, we work on both sides of the body to build up that strength, so when they come to choose their right hand or their left hand, they've got the strength and they've got the coordination to choose whichever one they want.
A couple of little tips if your child is left-handed is they can hold their pencil a little bit further up, still in that tripod grip so they can see what they're writing, and also give them lots of elbow space so they can still move around on their left-hand side.
Now, what I would say is making sure that they've got a wealth of different things that they can pick up and explore to make those marks is so critical here. So it could be you've got chalks out, you've got wax crayons out, you've got child safety scissors, you've got rubbers, they're brilliant for building up that strength, and also those 3 fingers where we're rubbing out on paper. All those types of things around the house where they can pick them up freely and really explore is so important. Now, something I use at home and we also use in school, which does also help when we're working with like a modified tripod grip and we want to encourage the children into that tripod grip, is to use a pencil like this. So you can see here, it's quite a short pencil. It's slightly chunkier than you would have if you would have just a normal adult pencil. And you can see, if I show you the profile there, it's actually tripod shaped, so you can see it's got the 3 sides. So if your child is using a modified grip, so they've got, say, 5 fingers involved, then naturally you'll want to hold it with 3 fingers because they settle on the 3 straight sides. That's another little tip for you to have at home, is tripod shaped writing implements too. The next stage is when children start writing in letter clusters, and this is very exciting because they've started to realise that words are formed by letters together and then there's spaces in between. So always think about the children need something to say to be able to write about it, and this is where I really get creative. I might give the little ones a big box that they can pretend is a spaceship, they can get inside it, they can write words like go, blast, have a go at even just drawing an explosion, things that get them picking up their writing implements to make marks and also ascribe meaning to what they've drawn. The next stage in our writing is copying environmental print, and this stage is so key because the children will be copying what they can see around them. Now, when I have my writing table in the classroom, I've always got my writing mat which has got my alphabet on. I've also got my tricky word mat, my number formation mat, and I've also always got a word mat that relates to something that we're doing at the time, like a topic. For example, when we were learning about London with the naughty bus, it might have all those keywords on there. And that means when the children come over and choose to do some writing, they've got those there to support them. And that's key again to have at home. Make sure you've got a letter mat out for them, you've got a number mat out for them. Their tricky words are easily accessible so they can draw on that when they come to do their writing independently. This is when we use our phonics to sound out and really listen to what sounds that we can hear. It's so important that the children can hear their voice at this stage. So it might be that they're sounding out the word phonics, for example, and they can hear phonics. They can hear the f sound at the beginning. They might want to sound out, I went to gymnastics. Don't worry about the spelling here. It's all about what the children can hear according to their phonics phase. So this is the stage where we look at the children and we can see that they're ready to understand a capital letter at the beginning of our sentence, finger spaces in between our words, and a full stop at the end of our sentence once we've checked it makes sense. So you might see some really common sentences like this. So a lot of parents ask me, but they're not spelling it correctly. Is that okay? And it is. You're referring back to the early learning goal. The children need to write words that are phonetically plausible. So they're using their phonics phase to be able to understand how to write a word. That's perfectly fine. The only words that we're expecting the children to spell correctly are their tricky words, the words that we can't sound out. So for example, in phase 2, it would be I, go, no, to, the, and into. So you'd move on to phase 3 and you've got some more tricky words. They're the tricky words again that we're asking them to spell. All of the other words, as long as they're phonetically plausible, are absolutely fine. Spelling, again, comes later. So without wanting to overcomplicate things for your child, it's so important that they just use their phonic knowledge to be able to write words. However, sometimes children will want to know how things are spelt correctly. And I will always give them this opportunity when I'm showing them a word, for example, they've not spotted before. So when I teach them the word London, for example, when we were learning about the naughty bus, I'd show them how to write the word London correctly. I'd have it on a word map for them to be able to refer to, and I'd give them the choice whether they wanted to sound out the word London or whether they wanted to spell the word London. Either way is absolutely fine at this stage. I really hope you found this video useful, and I hope it's given you a bit of an insight into how children's writing develops, and more importantly on how you can support your child's writing development at home. Now, if you've enjoyed the video, I really hope you can give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel, and then you'll get an alert as soon as our next video goes live. If you have any questions about the content of this video, please don't forget to get in touch with your child's class teacher, or also you can email us, reception@hoolceprimary.cheshire.sch.uk, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye!